The OT Practice Kids is a private occupational therapy practice. We have nationwide coverage of highly experienced and specialist paediatric occupational therapists. My role within the practice, having had 20 years of experience of working with children with wide-ranging needs, some identified and diagnosed and some not, is to have that first phone call with the parent when they're concerned and they're worried about whatever it is with their child. We have a big conversation about what's going on, and I identify the OT closest to them with the most appropriate skills to address their child's needs. We work with babies where there may be developmental concerns and they may not be achieving their milestones within expected time frames, or all the way through to children transitioning into secondary school, transitioning into college, and transitioning ultimately into adulthood, making sure that they can reach their potential and become independent in adult life as possible.
Since putting the call into the OT practice, we've had an initial consultation, and then our OT came out to our home to speak with Ben in our own environment, which we found really helpful. And they've given us sort of coping mechanisms and strategies to use both at home and at school. So we're not having the meltdowns when he comes home anymore, because the school have tools that they can use to complement what we're doing to help keep his anxiety at bay throughout the day.
So following from that initial phone consultation, the OT would then contact the family and make an appointment. We aim to have that in a very, very timely way. Within 7 days, the assessment can take place. The OT comes to the home, looks at all aspects of the child's development to see what is causing the difficulties that the parents and teachers are reporting. So a child may have difficulty with writing or tying their shoelaces, but until we look at the underlying skills needed to carry out those tasks, we don't know where those difficulties are coming from.
Before we found the OT practice, there was a mixture of emotions, and I guess through fear of failure, the main thing that was coming out, the main thing we felt was frustration. So initially with Lily, we noticed that handwriting was an issue. We didn't know whether it was behavioural, whether it was something she was choosing to do, whether it was genuine difficulty, or whether it was just not wanting to do. Our OT herself came out to the house to meet us and Liliella, and made her first assessment. And the one thing we were worried about is obviously the relationship between the two, and that very quickly became apparent that they were going to get on like a house on fire, which was fantastic.
Following the occupational therapy intervention, whether it be one-to-one treatment sessions with the OT coming to home and or school, or whether it be just home and school following an OT programme, progress is then reviewed for that child against the original goals set.
Before I met the OT practice, I just felt lost. Rufus had been picked out at nursery for being behind in some of his development targets that he should be meeting. When I phoned the OT practice and spoke to them, I was really pleased that they were going to come out to the house and that they were going to address Rufus's issues with his anxiousness of going to see hospitals or doctors, or he just hated anything like that. So I was really pleased when they said they'll come out to the house and they'll assess him in his normal environment. They also went to visit him at the nursery. He's used to being there, and he was then confident in completing the activities so that they could assess him properly.
All her friends would want to go to ballet classes, and she'd always separate herself from them. She'd never want to be a part of the group. She never got excited about anything active, and it always used to worry me slightly. There was an assessment process. She watched her at play, and there was lots of talking going on. She really got to the bottom of the problems. Straight away, Emily, her character changed. She's become so much more confident. It's given me such great confidence as a mother. I never knew what the right thing to do was. I didn't know whether to push her into playing, to push her to go into ballet class. It's given me the skills to know the right things to do with her.
One thing that was a massive help was the practical advice. It was just so easy to then employ that with home and school.
we had quite a lot of support from the OT practice, writing a programme for Ben, implementing the programme, and they were there as a constant support for us as a family. And now he's settled into his new routines and coping strategies brilliantly. But next year he moves up to secondary school, so we already know that the OT practice is going to come and help with that transition.
When I grow up, I want to be a scientist because it will be fun to find out lots of things. There's 3 things. There's a teacher, a nurse and a midwife. And the reason why I chose 3 things was because in case one doesn't work, then I can go on to the other one. When I grow up, I want to be an architect because I like doing maths problems and building stuff. I want to be a vet because I really care of all the animals in the world.